Hi, Libra. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for April of 2021. This month's focus on partnership, intimacy, and trust are going to be best addressed in a lifelong love reading. And if you find after listening to this horoscope that you want that, you'll find it in the YouTube description below. Jupiter is moving along through Aquarius this year, a sign that you particularly like, Libra, because your sign and Aquarius share the air element and are therefore quite social and intellectual. Jupiter's movement through Aquarius is going to bring growth, expansion, confidence, and joy to whatever area of your chart Aquarius is located in. Now, for you, most likely that's house 5, or it might be house 4, and I'm going to say a little bit about both of these. So here's Jupiter in Aquarius in your 5th house, and that's the house of fun, pleasure, and play. It's a house of games. It's also a house of creation and creative product, including children. And so you may find that your creativity is really going to be amped up this year. It's a great thing to take advantage of while growthful Jupiter is here. You may be feeling restless about your creative projects. It's a really good time to get moving on those. Now, if you were born with later in Libra rising, so that your 1st house is actually filled with quite a bit of Scorpio, then you might find that Jupiter is actually passing through your 4th house this year. You've probably already started to feel this as a restlessness about your home life. And if that's the case, this is a really good year to move and to find a good place to move to, whether that's in terms of purchasing a new home or finding a great apartment that has all the features that you want. If you want to know more about that in your own chart, along with the very specific timing when the luck for that will be at the best, then you would probably want to get a reading where Julia or I can tell you the details about that. You can find out more about Jupiter in Aquarius specifically in our 2021 news playlist on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology. Well, Julia, I know you've got some news for the Librans of the world about Mercury, Venus, and Mars. What's the scoop?
I'm happy to share it with you, Jamie, and to all the Libras in the world. So I'll begin with Mercury. That's the planet of communication, the planet of mentation. And at the very beginning of the month, on April 3rd, it's hopping into your 7th house. And 7th house is the house of long-term relationships. It's also the house of consultants, too. So with Mercury in this house, it means that some of your best thinking, some of your best ideas are going to come from bouncing off ideas with somebody else. Like either you're a romantic partner or even a platonic best friend that you have. This is also a wonderful transit for hiring any type of consultants. Maybe you need to hire a lawyer for some reason or a counselor because they're ruled by the 7th house. They can help you strategize and organize your thinking. And then because Mercury is moving so fast this month, by the 19th, it's going to jump into your 8th house. This is the house of research and investigation, and it's also the house of other people's money, the money you share with those closest to you, like through an inheritance or a joint credit card, as well as the money that you share with an institution like a bank. So that would include investments and taxes and things of that nature. So with Mercury in this house, it is a wonderful time for doing any type of research project. If you're in school and you need to do research, if you do it professionally or even in your personal life, especially with things like other people's money. So if you're doing your taxes right now, good time to dig and sort of find all those receipts. Then Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and relationships, begins the month in your 7th house of partnership, which again is going to be a wonderful time for getting along really, really well with your partner because Venus brings harmony and peace wherever she goes. It's also a great transit for all the single Libras out there to go maybe find somebody new and cute to talk to as well. Then Venus by April 14th is going to move into your 8th house. Again, this is the house of other people's money, but it's also a very physically intimate house in there too. So if you are currently in a relationship, there might be a shift sort of midway through the month, where you guys just will increase your level of intimacy, both psychologically, sexually, maybe even a bit financially. It can be also a time of attracting money through other people's resources as well. Then Mars, the planet of action and activity, starts the month in your 9th house. This is the house of adventure because it's represented by Jupiter, and it's also the house of the higher mind. So you're going to be in a very adventurous spirit, maybe wanting to go on a trip, wanting to do something new. So hopefully you'll have opportunities to maybe get out that energy. But if you're kind of stuck at home having to do a lot of work and take on responsibilities and you can't take a little vacation time or a trip right now, it can be a little bit of a frustrating, stir-crazy transit. But Mars, by April 23rd, is going to move into your 10th house. This is the house of career. It's also the house of authority figures. So with Mars in this house, it could be a time of increased conflict with the authority figures in life. So that could be a teacher if you're still in school. That could be your boss if you're employed by someone else. If you're a business owner, maybe you're just dealing with some government official who's telling you can't do something. So, it can be a little frustrating time for that. But on the flip side, with Mars here, you can get a lot of work done too, and really kind of make some progress. Mars tends to not like to be a team player. Maybe you can do some work independently, but you can get a lot done and really, further your ambition too during that cycle.
Yeah, Mars loves to be in the 10th house. And if you apply
Yes.
goal setting procedures, you can just get so much done. It's great.
I totally agree with that.
So over the course of this month, there is a sort of a grand motion of planets from the sign of Aries, which is basically your 7th house, into the sign of Taurus, which is your 8th house. And so this is some of where all of those relationship themes are happening. And so part of how this shows up is in terms of, first of all, the new moon, which is happening in Aries on the 11th. That's happening in your 7th house. New moons are great times of beginnings. And this is a very relational moon to begin with because of the proximity of Venus. And it also has very big themes of assertion and being direct and honest and bringing your willfulness. And that's because of the Aries themes and this moon's connection to Mars. So that's all happening in your 7th house. That means this moon is a really great time to begin to negotiate some things in your relationship that maybe you've been putting off, or maybe you've had it in mind that you want to sort of make some different agreements about those things. And this is a really good time to do that. So then this shift, this general migration from Aries into Taurus continues when the sun moves into Taurus right about here. There it is. It's just moved into Taurus, adding itself to the other planets here in your 8th house, which is the house of, as Julia said, it's intimacy and sharing and trust, which can be a sexual thing. It can be an emotional thing. It can be a financial thing. And so there's going to be a lot of attention and focus in that area of life after the 20th, when the sun moves into Taurus. Then we have the full moon in Scorpio coming right here on the 26th. We have the sun and Uranus in Taurus here in your 8th house, continuing that focus on intimacy and connectedness, and on having those intimate relationships be as stable as possible. Uranus is bringing some objectivity into that, but also the moon in Scorpio happening in your 2nd house means that you're going to have a sort of a lot of emotional attention going on in the realm of like, well, what's mine around here? And how, sort of possessive do I feel about my stuff in this connection, in this relationship, like my money. I'd better be thoughtful about how I invest my money with somebody else or with an institution. And this moon, we're calling it focused obsession balanced with calm objectivity. And so if you are thinking about making some kind of an investment, this moon would be a really good time to research that and feel into that and focus on that, balanced with the objectivity in your research about, well, what's going to happen to my money if I do invest it in this place? Okay, well, I want to tell you now about Pluto going retrograde, which it's going to do this month. And here we see Pluto traveling along through your fourth house. But very shortly, yep, right about there, around this 27th or 28th, Pluto turns retrograde. And this is the beginning of something I've been talking about for a couple of months. I've been saying that the spring and the late winter has been a really good time for starting new projects because all of the outer planets are direct at one time. But Pluto begins the general shift by being the first to turn retrograde. And that's happening here in April. Next month, Saturn is going to turn retrograde. And as we move on into the summer and the fall, it's going to introduce more and more complications if you delay the beginning of a big project. So start it now before things get more and more complicated. And if you are having a Pluto transit this year, that would mean that you've got something in your chart between 24 and 26 degrees of a cardinal sign, such as Capricorn or Aries or Cancer or Libra. And if you do, you would feel it because when Pluto turns retrograde, it sucks you inward into a change, and you feel like you want to cocoon yourself. You feel like you're going into a meltdown. You feel like you want to kind of hide out and explore whatever this change is going to be. And Pluto changes, Pluto forms of transitions are a true metamorphosis. So whatever part of you that is going through that change is going to be very, very different after this transit is done. And if you want to understand more about it and the timing that it's happening in and how to handle it, then we are there for you to even give you like really specific dates and diagrams so that you can be really well oriented and get on top of that. So if you feel like you're going into a meltdown, a reading is absolutely the way to go. And I think that's all we have for you. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like it and subscribe to our channel, share this video widely. And our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, is a great place to find your horoscopes every month and the news of the month. Also, you can find that great stuff on our website, pandoraastrology.com, where you can read tons of free articles about astrology, and you can get a reading with one of us or even join a class. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye.